Thank you, Ryoshin. It was very inspiring to hear your chanting. Good morning to everyone. You can hear me okay? I have a new mic on. It's okay. How marvelous that we're able to meet at this moment in time, just today, as it is. And as it is may not be so easy for many of us. There is so much suffering on an intimate, personal level. We simply miss one another. We miss so many that we've been connected to, or with whom we would want to know better. We miss being close. The eyes, the gestures, the body language, the time to share our feelings intimately, spontaneously, and moving our gaze outside to our neighborhoods. We can witness suffering of all kinds: loneliness, fear, lots of anger, poverty, despair. It's hard to be part of what we're part of, or what we're aware that we're part of these days. And the latest news, Afghanistan, the reality of what's happening to our climate, the hurricane approaching in our south, refugees, refugees, refugees. Inevitably, we are moved to service. Maybe as a donor, a petitioner, a protester, a volunteer. Maybe we yearn to do something as simple as offering a smile to someone in need, or a kind word. I think we're all moved to service, because that's how we're able to actualize our realization of our connectedness to all of life. So in a way, you could say that's what we're doing today. Simply by opening our devices, finding a link, clicking, and entering this electronic Zendo, where we sit with one another, alone and together, in silence, but with some exquisite awareness of the power of our sitting together. And oddly, even just sitting and listening is asynchronously witnessing others at another time in another locale. Still, we honor this simple practice that we have and encourage ourselves to connect and find a way to serve the people of this earth and the earth itself. So I think, always I've run into this. It can seem to many who have not experienced it antithetical to suggest that our simple practice of zazen, of stopping and sitting meditation, is the seat of service, is the seat of action in the world. People will argue that who cannot see it, but it is. In our Zen tradition, as well as many other spiritual traditions, there's something about stopping and sitting that evokes a realization that we are, in fact, responsible for everything, for the earth and all its living beings. So it's actually kind of odd that a single person, you or me, can sit down and enter a quiet, non-verbal, essentially non-visual, empty expanse. And suddenly, somewhere in us, we become aware of our intimate relationship. And with that, our intimate responsibility for everything and everyone. Zen Master Dogen writes of this truth towards the end of his study of time, Wuji. It says, mind is the moment of actualizing the fundamental point. Words are the moment of going beyond unlocking the barrier. Arriving is the moment of casting off the body. Not arriving is the moment of being one with just this, while being free from just this. In this way, you must endeavor to actualize the time being. So listen again how he separates these two parts of being in our mind. Mind is the moment of actualizing the fundamental point. Words are the moment of going beyond, unlocking the barrier. Arriving is the moment of casting off the body. Not arriving is the moment of being one with just this, while being free from just this. In this way, you must endeavor to actualize the time being. It seems to me that Dogen is skillful here, reminding us that what he calls mind is that domain that we have entered this morning when we sit zazen. And zazen incidentally means seated mind. So this mind that we all have engaged in this morning, Dogen reminds us, is when we arrive at the fundamental point. So when we're just in mind. Not scattered, but just in mind. We might say we arrive at the absolute reality of the moment. Just this. Without thoughts, without words, without descriptions, simply hanging out in this absolute moment. This, I think, is what Dogen means when he says, mind is the moment of actualizing the fundamental point. It may be only 1 millisecond of your 30-minute zazen period when you are there, completely present, actualizing the fundamental point. And it is the simple thing that we do in these half-hour Zoom zazen sessions. We sit down and put our bodies in a situation where we can, as Dogen says, actualize. Not think about or theorize or want, but actualize the fundamental point, just this. But of course, that's not all there is. Because there's also a burning planet, and soon a flooding planet. hungry, broken people, discord and ill will, suffering. All of this, along with the joy and love and autumn leaves that we may also be aware of. And the realization of this life that we live in our words, in our ideas, and our actions, or what Dogen is calling words are the moment of going beyond, unlocking the barrier. There's presence, and then there's realization. And hopefully, then there's action. The zazen mind that arrived, that is awakened to its fundamental nature, and the shift from awareness, the shift from understanding, to a shift to using words, to using ideas that lead to action. That is our work as beings in this world. That is our work. And you know, there's a great teaching on this very point in the last case number 100 in the Book of Koans, the Book of Serenity. Beautiful piece. It's very short, 3 lines. A monk asked Master Yanglao Jiao, purity is originally so. How does it suddenly produce mountains, rivers, and the great earth? Lang Ya said, purity is originally so. How does it suddenly produce mountains, rivers, and the great earth? So the monk asks, purity is originally so. How does it suddenly produce the mountains, rivers, and the great earth? You know, we might sit here in our zazen this morning and say, purity is originally so. And yet, how does it produce this cloudy, rainy day, these dying plants in the garden below, the poor man begging for food out there? And this question that the monk is asking also echo exactly what Dogen is saying. When Dogen says mind is the moment of actualizing the fundamental point, words are the moment of going beyond, unlocking the barrier. Dogen's phrase is mind, and the monk's phrase is purity. They are both pointing to this quality of being that we experience when we practice zazen. Right here, online, today. This is not like some medieval story, but it is our story. When we drop our thoughts and ideas and simply breathe, simply be, without words, without theory, but breath by breath by breath. We enter and experience our mind and all of mind as zazen, as what the monk calls purity. Nothing is left out in that moment. There are no words in that space. But yet the monk comes out with some words. He says, how can there be a difference in oneness? Maybe something is missing from my understanding. And Lang Ya offers a clue. He responds to the monk's excitement about this purity, this mind, or what we might call samadhi, or our blessed zazen. He says, yeah, purity is originally so. How does it suddenly produce mountains, rivers, and the great earth? So he's just repeating the monk's question. This happens so often in koans. Is he just repeating the monk's question? Or is this the fundamental truth? We could say, my zazen is just this. It is what Dogen called mind, what the monk is calling purity. And the bell rings. We exchange a few greetings on Zoom. And we take up our tools to serve those in the suffering world. The earth's mountains and rivers need care, need attention, need our words and our actions and our treasures. The poor on our streets, the refugees and immigrants seeking a home, seeking a life, the friend or neighbor who needs attention, all need our care. When Dogen writes that words are the moment of going beyond unlocking the barrier, he's encouraging us to act. He's encouraging us to use our zazen, to use our mind, our actualizing the fundamental point. And when we move from our zazen, from our empty mind, our great spacious mind, we use words and actions to unlock the barrier of thinking that we are alone, that we have nothing to offer, the barrier of thinking that it's only our zazen period. Instead, we recognize through our zazen that we are simultaneously part of this whole. We are one and we are many. The oneness is what empowers us and energizes each of us to take care of ourselves, which means taking care of everyone, of the whole piece, to care for others, to make a difference in the world. We must act. Each of us has a different way to go, a different path. We use our zazen to empower us, to remind us of our interconnection, our interrelationship with everyone. It is what starts us out on the path. And every time we need vitality, we need strength, we need refreshment, we come back to our zazen. And so we see one another in these little squares every morning, I hope, every evening, when you can. Let me leave you with a verse. Sitting still, alone with others, breathe in, breathe out. Quiet, empty, yet full. Long energy fills me. How can I help?